Yeah.
Before this, one way.
Sorry, I just grabbed the wrong volume. So go ahead.
Before the scroll was erased, if she said, "I will not drink," her scroll is hidden away, and her mincha offering is scattered on the ash heap. Her scroll is not valid for the use of any other sotah. If the scroll was erased and she then said, "I am defiled," the water is poured out, her mincha offering is scattered on the ash heap. But if the scroll was erased and then she said, "I will not drink," they force her and make her drink against her will. She hardly finishes drinking before her face becomes sallow, her eyes bulge, and her veins protrude, and they call out, "Take her out, take her out," so that they will not contaminate the temple courtyard with tumah. If she had any merit, if it held to punishment in abeyance, certain merits hold. Certain merits hold punishments in abeyance for 1 year. Others hold in abeyance for 2 years, and others hold it in abeyance for 3 years. Based on this, Ben Azzi says, a man should teach his daughter Torah so that if she ever drinks, she will realize that merit can hold her punishment in abeyance. If Eliezer says, whoever teaches his daughter Torah is as if though he teaches her sensuality. If Yeshua says a woman prefers 1 measure of sensuality than 9 measures with chastity. He used to say, a foolish saint, a cunning evildoer, an abstinent woman, and the wounds of the pious, these are the ruin of the world. Reb Shimon says, merit does not hold the punishment of the bitter waters in abeyance, for if you say that merit does hold the punishment of the curse causing waters in abeyance, you diminish the aura of the waters in the minds of all women who must drink. And you defame all the undefiled women who have drunk, because it will be said that they were defiled, but merit held their punishment in abeyance. The Rebbe says merit holds the punishment of the curse causing waters in abeyance, but she does not bear children or continue to thrive, but waste away by degrees, and in the end she dies that death.
Right. Okay. So then, Mishna Vav. Okay, Nitmes Minchasa. Let me actually, I'm sorry, to take off my headphone.
Before make noise for other people, but it's just so much easier not having the stuff in my head. All right. Nitmes Minchasa. What happens if this Mishnah is exploring circumstances under which her mincha offering gets burned entirely. That is, there's always part of it goes onto the mizbeach. But here's one circumstance where it gets burned entirely in the wrong way. Nitmeis minchasa, if it became tameh. Okay, so first of all, remember the husband is putting her mincha offering into an Egyptian basket, okay, which is not a kli shares. So it hasn't yet been sanctified. He has designated it for an offering, therefore it is hekdesh, but it's not sanctified in the sense that it now is completely belongs to the temple. Ad shelo kadisha b'kli. So if it became tameh somehow, I don't know, dead chariots or something like that, before it was moved into a temple vessel. So that's like any other mincha that became tameh, and before it was given to the temple, it may be redeemed. So you redeem its value onto its kedusha onto some money of the same value, and then you use that money to buy the new mincha offering. Okay. However, if a mincha offering actually made it to the temple and into a kli shares, and then it became tameh, so then it, like any other mincha that became tameh, it must be burned not on the mizbeach, but it must be burned in the deshin, on the base of deshin where the waste products are, the ash pile. So it doesn't get to go on the mizbeach, and it also can't be redeemed because the only things that can be redeemed are animal offerings. Animal offerings, if they come into the temple and you discover that they've got a mum, you can redeem them. But a mincha offering or a bird offering, also I think a bird offering cannot be redeemed as well. Okay, so that's so we see the same thing goes with the mincha offering. It has to be burned. If a woman, if after the mincha was put into a kli shares, so the woman says tamei ani lach, she confesses. Okay, Or alternatively, witnesses came out of the blue and said, "You don't need to go through this whole ceremony. We saw her. We saw, two witnesses saw that she committed adultery. Or the woman just refuses to drink, even though she might be innocent. Or the husband has a change of heart, and having gone through all this stuff, he says, "No, I don't want to do this anymore." Or or it turns out that her husband actually had relations with her on the way to the Beis Hamikdash, which again invalidates her for the purposes of the korban. So, and furthermore, anyone who is married to a kohen, right, or the Ashes kohen who becomes a sotah. So just like the kohen's offerings are completely burned, so her offering is completely burned. So min chosen, nisrafos, they all of these cases, the mincha offering is completely burned. Although it's different because, of course, the last case is burned on the mizbeach, and all the other cases are burned on the deshen. Hold on, why am I not hearing you? Is it me? Audio settings. I'm not hearing you. I'm gonna pause. Were you hearing me? I can't hear you. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Okay, let's just see. Is there a problem with my sound? No, my sound is working. What happened? Did you do something in between? Okay, let me just change my settings of my speaker. Oh, yeah, it was my
Oh,
beg your
okay.
pardon. I just had to change something. I don't know why why I got confused. Are you with me now?
Okay, so good. Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, it was.
My question was: didn't they always send a shomer with the couple to make sure that he didn't go
Yeah,
up?
they should have sent a shomer with, but they didn't.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Mishna Zayin, but you're 100% correct that you're alert to that possibility. Okay. Bas Yisrael, Shani says the coin. Okay, so now back to that subject of a girl who was born to a Yisrael but married a Kohen. Mincha san Yisrefes, so her mincha offering gets burned because she's an Ashes Kohen. I mean, that's talking about any. Is that just talking about the personal offerings, or is it just the? Not sure if a personal offering. I think if she brought a personal offering in that, she's not counted as a kohen in that respect. But for the Sotah woman, it's because it's on behalf of her husband, I think. So she's judged with her husband in that respect. Okay, so the Ashes kohen, her mincha gets burned. The kohen is shenises to Israel, and what happens if you have a bas kohen who's married to Israel? So her mincha offering gets eaten, like any Israel. Okay, so it all goes after her husband. Ma ben kohen lekohenes. So what are the differences in halacha between a kohen and a kohenes being a generic term for a wife of a kohen or the daughter of a kohen before she's married?
Okay.
Yeah, because they all have once they're part of the kohen's household, they're called the kohenes. Okay. Minchas kohenes necheles. There we go. So that's it's explicitly in the Mishna what I was trying to remember. Right. So the mincha of a kohenes is eaten. Minchas kohen ena necheles, but the kohen's mincha offering gets burned. Okay. The only exception, of course, being that of the Sotah. Kohenes mischaleles. A kohenes can lose her kohana. Right. Why? How? If she has relations with a man who's asa to her, so she has relations with a mamzer or with a goy, or with an erva, she loses her status as a kohenes. So that's a bas kohen, and she can no longer eat chuma or eat the kodshim kalim. The kohen eino mischalel. However, a kohen never loses his status, even if the kohen becomes an apikora. So if he marries a woman that he's asked to marry, whatever. If he does teshuvah and he comes back, then he stays a kohen.
Right.
Okay. Kohen is mitama lemeisim. A female kohen is allowed to go to a cemetery and become tame and whatever. She doesn't have any restrictions on her tara. Okay, because she's not doing the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. But ein kohen mitame lemeisim. However, male kohenim are not allowed to. Kohen ochel bekodshei kodshim. So the male kohenim can eat from the kodshei kodshim, like the chatas and from the asham. Okay. But ein kohenes ocheles bekodshei kodshim. However, the female kohenim do not get to eat from those. Okay. And Mishna Ches carries on this sort of tangent. Ma bein ish isha. Okay, so what are the halachic differences between man and woman? So preparing you for this is not going to give a full list of the differences. Okay, obviously there are some things over here that aren't mentioned, like the most obvious being mitzvahs aseh she'azman grama.
Right.
Okay, but yes, here are a few things where they're both chayav in a particular mitzvah, but in the details of the mitzvah it's different. So, for example, ha'ish porea uforeim. So both man and woman can become mitzoraim, but once they're muchlat, only the man must tear his clothing. Okay, but eina isha porea uforemis. Furthermore, ish madiris beno benazir. The din of Nazirus applies to men and women, but only a man can proclaim a Nazirus on his son. But eina isha madiris is benazir. Remember, we just learned this in Nazir that he can do this, but of course, subject to the possibility that the son will object or other relatives will object. Okay, and they can annul it. But nonetheless, the father does have the power to do that over his son. Ha'ish megaleach al Nazirus aviv. And remember, we had in that same area when we were talking about Nazirus that a man can complete his Nazirus with the korban of his father who died and left him the animals. Okay, there was a dispute among the Tanaim, if you recall, exactly what the mechanism is of that. Did they have to be Nazirim together, and the father's Nazirim, the father's korbanos were inherited by the son during the period of Nazirus, or could he actually take the korbanos and say, okay, I'm going to be a Nazir and use my father's korbanos? Okay, that's a machlokas Tanaim about that. But ein ha'isha megalachas al Nazirus aviha. Everyone agrees that a daughter cannot do that, even if she is a daughter who inherits from her father. She has no brothers. Okay. Ha'ish mocheres bito ve'ein ha'isha mocheres bita. So a man can sell his daughter as an ama ivriya, because this is a form of kiddushin, right? Where he sells his daughter to be an ama ivriya, which he's supposed to do only in order to facilitate a marriage either to the buyer or to his son. But a woman does not have the power to do that, even if she's a widow. Okay, ha'ish mekadesh es bito, and similarly, only a man has the power to accept kiddushin on behalf of his daughter. But a woman cannot do that on behalf of her daughter. Both men and women can be executed by skila. A man is stoned naked. But this is not the case for a woman. The man, after he's been executed, his body is hung for a couple of minutes, right towards the end of the day. Okay, but a woman's body is not hung after being executed. A man can be sold on account of having stolen. Right, if he steals and he can't pay back, then he's sold as a slave until he can pay back his gneva. But so a woman does not get sold like that. If she steals and she cannot pay back, then she simply cannot pay back, and she's held, and she'll have to pay back as soon as she can. But she's not sold as an eved as a shipka in order to do that. Okay.
Okay, Nazir.
Yeah.
A Nazir who shaved, and then it became known to him that he was tamei. If it was done to a known tumor, he forfeits. If it was done to a tumor of the depths, he does not forfeit. If he had not yet shaved when it became known to him, then regardless of which tumor it was, he forfeits. How so? If he descended into a cave to immerse himself, and a corpse was found there floating at the mouth of the cave, he is tummy. He was found, if it was found sunken in the floor of the cave, if he had gone down to cool himself, he is tahor. To pure himself from tumor of the dead, he is to purify himself from tumor of the dead. He is tummy because someone tummy is presumed to remain tummy, while someone tahor is presumed to remain tahor, for the matter is indicated. Someone who finds a corpse for the first time lying in its usual manner may remove it along with the surrounding earth. If he found 2 corpses, he removed them along with the surrounding earth. If he found 3, if the distance between this one and that one is 4 to 8 cubits, it is the graveyard zone. He must watch, for there are onward a distance of 20, search for a distance of 20 cubits. And if he found one at the end of the 20 cubits, he searches from there outward, a distance of 20 cubits. The matter is indicated that although he has found it at first, he would have removed it together with the surrounding earth. Okay. A depth concerning afflictions of Taras at the outset. I'm sorry, what did I say?
It's a depth.
Any doubt concerning afflictions of Taras at the outset of Tahor is as long as it has not been confirmed, it is tummy. Once it has been confirmed to be tummy, a doubt is ruled to be tummy. And Zav is checked in 7 ways as long as he has not been confirmed to be tummy from Sotah, from Ziva. Concerning food, drink, carrying a load, jumping, illness, sight, and thought. Once he has been confirmed to be coming from Siva, we do not examine him for his mishap or doubt because of the seminal charge or tame, since the matter is indicated. If someone struck his fellow and they assessed that he would die, the condition improves from what it had been. After that, it worsened and he died. The attacker is liable, but none that when the comment says he is exempt for the matter is indicated.
Okay. The Darium.
Where are we going after Nazir?
It's a Sotah.
Right, we're going to Sotah, so I'll put Nazir away. Okay.
Well, not for long because we're going to finish Nadarim soon.
Thank you. Okay. Dalit. Until the fig picking, or until it is the fig picking, it is forbidden until the people began to bring in the figs in baskets. Until the fig picking passes, literally means it means forbidden until the mats are folded up. Until the harvest, it is forbidden until the people began to gather in the wheat harvest, not the barley harvest. Everything is according to its place in this of his neder. If he was in the mountain, the neder refuses the harvest. In the mountain, it was in the valley. It refers to the harvest in the valley. Until the rains are, it is forbidden until the second rain falls. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says until the time for that rain arrives. Until rain stops, it is forbidden until Nisan is over, until the words of Rabbi, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says until Pesach is over. If one says Kohanam wine with respect to my tasting, it is this year, and the custom was and the year was extended as was forbidden during the year and during its extension until the start of Adar. It is forbidden until the start of the first Adar and until the end of the Adar. It is forbidden until the end of the first Adar. Rabbi Yehuda says if one says Kohanam with respect to my wine tasting, it is until Pesach. The forbidden one is only instance of the Pesach. No, only until the night of Pesach. Since his intention was only until the time when it became customary for people to drink wine. If one said, Kohanam meat with respect to my tasting, it is until the fast. It is forbidden only until before the night of the fast, since his intention was only until the time when it is customary for people to eat meat. And Rabbi Yossi says, son says, if one says Kohanam or garlic with regard to my tasting it until it is Sabbath, it is forbidden only until the night of the Sabbath. And since his intention was only until the time when it is customary for people to begin eating garlic. One more?
Vamos.
Oh, okay.
Vamos started base.
If someone married his Ravama and then she was forced to be, boy, I'm really trying to read faster and get out. If someone married his Ravama and then she was found to be pregnant and she gave birth, if the child is capable of living, he must discharge her, and they are obligated to bring an offering. However, if the child is not capable of living, he may retain her. If it is not clear whether it is a 9-month child of the former husband or the 7-month child of the latter, he must divorce her The child is legitimate and they're obligated to bring a pending guilt offering. If a woman awaited a Yavam inherited property, both Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that she may sell it or give it away. And if she died, what is to be done with the ketubah and with the property that comes in and goes out with her? Rabbi Shammai says, Rabbi Beis Shammai says the husband's heirs divided with the father's heirs, but Beis Hillel says the property remains where it has been held. The ketubah is the possession of the husband's heirs, and the property that comes in and goes out with her is the possession of her father's heirs. If he married her, she is considered his wife in every respect, except that her ketubah obligation rests upon the estate of the first husband. The commandment. Okay, all right, Bakurim. Dalet Aleph. Hermaphrodite is in some ways like men, in some ways like women, and in some ways like men and women, and in some ways like neither men or women. How is he like men? He conveys uncleanness with the white, with the white like men, and dresses like men. And like men, he takes a wife, but is not taken. He is not, but is not taken as a wife. And his mother deserves on this account the clean blood days like the males. For the men may not be alone with women, and like men, he is not maintained together with the daughters. And like men, may not transgress the law of you shall be round, neither may you mar the corners of your beard, and you shall not defile yourself for the dead. And he is liable to all the commandments of the Torah like men. How is it like women? He conveys uncleanness with the bread like women, and like women, he may not be alone with men. And like women, he does not oppose the Hebrew obligation, and like women, he does not share with the sons. And like women, he does not eat the holy things of the temple, and his mother observes the uncleanly blood days. For the females, and like women, he is ineligible to give testimony, and like women, if he was subject to give this intercourse, he is disqualified from eating truma.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna finish Bikurim and say this rhyme on Shabbos.
Okay, and what are we doing?
Right now.
What are we doing? What are we doing after Bikurim?
After Bikurim Shabbos.
Shabbos, okay. Para. Kesvav. An earthenware vessel cannot contaminate another earthenware vessel, but it does contaminate liquids. If a liquid contracts tuma, it contaminates it. Thus, this one says, that which contaminates you cannot contaminate me, yet you may contaminate me. Anything that renders truma unfit contaminates liquids from the beginning level of truma, with the capacity to contaminate one and render unfit one, except for a tevel yom. Thus, this one says, that which contaminates you cannot contaminate me, yet you can contaminate me. And all the seas are like a mikvah, as it is said, and the gathering of mikvah waters be called seas. These are the words of Reb Meir. Reb Yehuda says only the great sea is like a mikvah. It says seas only because it contains many kinds of seas. Reb Yoshi says all the men can purify while flowing, but they are unfit for the Zavim and for the Surim, and for contemplating there for purification. Smitten waters. That was it? We got one more to go. Okay, so welcome. Okay, Ches Yud Beis. If a contest offering had its blood received in 2 cups and one of them was taken outside the courtyard, the inner one remains valid. If one of them was brought inside the sanctuary, Rabbi Josie Hagili validates the offering with the outside cup. But the sages disqualify. It said, Rabbi Yossi Dagili, if in regard to the place about which intent disqualifies outside the courtyard, you do not treat that such which remains the same as that which has taken out then. Then in regard to a place where intent does not disqualify inside the sanctuary, we should certainly not treat that which remains the same as that which was brought in. If it was brought into the sanctuary to make atonement, even if it was not used to make atonement, it is disqualified. And these are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. And Reb Shimon says until he makes atonement. Reb Yehuda says if he brought it in unintentionally, it's valid. All disqualified bloods which are applied to the altar, the blood does not. The sitz does not affect their acceptance except for blood contaminated with tumah. But the sitz renders tumah acceptable, does not render that which has been taken out acceptable. The altar sacrifices that which is fit for Rabbi. What did I say? The altar sanctifies that which is fit for it. Rabbi Yeshua says, whatever is fit for the Almighty, or altar's fires, once it has gone up on the altar, should not be taken down. It says it is the only offering that stays on the fire and on the Almighty, on the altar. Just as an offering, which is something fit for the altar's fires, should not be taken down once it has gone up on the altar. So too, anything which is fit for the fires should not be taken down once it has gone up on the altar. Ritz Gamliel says, whatever is fit for the altar should not be taken down once it has gone up on the altar. And it said in the Ola offering that which stays on the fire on the altar, just as the dark offering, which is the Ola offering, which is something fit for the altar. Something should be not to take it down once it has gone up on the altar. So too, anything which is fit for the altar should be not to take it down once it has gone up on the altar. And the only difference between the altar of Rabbi Gamliel and that of Rabbi Yeshua is in regard to blood and libations. Yeshua in regard to blood and libations, thus which
the difference between the two of them is Rabbi Gamliel says Kol ha'ra'oi le'mizbeach, anything that is fit for the mizbeach, and
right.
Rabbi Yeshua says Kol ha'ra'oi le'ishim, whatever is meant to be burned. Now, blood is not meant to be burned.
Right.
So he's saying if blood went up that shouldn't have gone up, then it must come down again. But
Gamliel says that they should not be taken down, nor should they be taken down. And Rabbi Yeshua said they should be taken down. And Reb Shimon says whether the offering is valid and libations are invalid, for the libations are valid and the offering is invalid, even if both are invalid, the offering should not be taken down while the libation should be taken down. The following should not be taken down once they have gone up: that which has been kept overnight on, which has become tameh, or which has become taken out of the courtyard and which has been stored with intent for beyond its time and outside its place, or which disqualified people received or through its blood. Rabbi Yehuda says the offering which was slaughtered at night, or those blood spilled, or whose blood was taken behind the curtains, or if it was taken up, it must be taken down. And Reb Shimon says it should not be taken down, for Reb Shimon would say any offering whose validation is in the holy accepts it, but if the validation is not the holy does not accept it.
okay, I'd can and I gotta run.
Okay, that was the third one? That was the third one?
That was it.
Okay.
Great job.
Great job. Enjoy.